everyone, my name is Testimony and I'm the programs manager at Tech Semester. And today we'll be looking at how to choose a career path in tech. And I'm not alone in the studio this morning. I have with me Dr. Akanimo, and he is an international multi-award winner, a seasoned author and a writer, and the founder of different successful African development initiatives and programs. Is a reputable education consultant who specializes in the design of new innovative transnational education schemes to increase educational access to Africans driven by strategic partnerships. Dr. Akanimo has helped so many young people, myself inclusive, um, get started, to build successful careers even from young age, avoiding mistakes that not make, especially when you're at the early stage of your career. And we believe that after this session, you have more clarity on what path to go into. And so our first question for you, sir, would be your story is very interesting, and you always mention how you came from a background in zoology and now you're in business. Could you like give, for those who are just meeting for the first time, could you give a summarized version of your career trajectory?
So my name is Dr. Akanimo Odon, and I finished the first degree in zoology at the University of Benin in Nigeria. And after that, I served at the former Platinum Bank in Warri, River State. And I was finishing my youth service, NYSC. I got a scholarship to do my master's degree in environmental rehabilitation at Aberystwyth University in Wales, in the UK. And as I was completing my master's degree, I got some funding to do my PhD and doctorate degree in environmental management at Lancaster University in the UK. But during my PhD program, I discovered a strong passion and interest for intervention with respect to um, partnerships between African and UK institutions. And I also developed a passion for supporting the translation of research to impact, especially in a society like Africa, where there is a massive gap between academia and industry. And so, because of that, I decided to intentionally participate in a series of business and enterprise development fellowships, including a fellowship program at Stanford University in the US, a fellowship program at Cambridge University. All these were business focused, even though I was a science student. That opened up my mind and career positioning towards understanding the gap between academia, research, and industry. And then I developed an expertise in helping bridge those gaps as far as Africa is concerned. Since then, I've served in different international bodies. I've been a consultant to the African Development Bank. I've been an advisor to the African Union. I've served in different government organizations across different countries. My network and partnerships covers over 35 African countries. And so I travel an awful lot. And then I help and support universities in terms of resource mobilization, winning international grants for research, but also supporting them in terms of the conversion of their materials, their curriculum towards skills and capacities for students and graduate employability. That, in a nutshell, is my career projection. But that gives you a sense of how I moved from research into navigating between research and industry and the fulcrum or foundation of what I now do.
Wow, wow, that's really amazing, from the background sciences to business to education, and now you're more in strategy and leadership. I think that's really, really amazing. I think something I want to a question I want to draw out from there was, you mentioned earlier you discovered you're passionate about things in business and enterprise and partnerships, and at the point again you discovered a problem, that okay, this there's a problem that needs to be solved. I would like to ask why so many people believe that, you could say I was born to be in this field, that's just what I want to do for the rest of my life, and many people have that belief, and at the end of the day they don't um they can't sustain relevance. I think my next question would be, at what point did you know that, okay, I think it's time to try this out? Okay, yes, because so many people identify problems and they just feel, okay, it's not theirs to solve, but you positioned yourself and equipped yourself with all that you needed to solve that problem at the particular. Why did you feel like, okay, I need to move to this at this point?
There are many individuals who work in industry or work as professionals, and they do a job because it was the available job at the moment. And if you ask them if they will still do that job if they're not getting paid, they probably say no. In the same vein, you find many students who are doing the particular course in university, it could be chemistry and biology, whatever the case is, and you ask them, do you have something you love doing that is not within the remit of your current course of study? Most students, based on my engagement across different countries, will clearly have something else they love and are passionate about, but it's got no link or connection with what they're studying. Another way to appreciate it is when you view the average CV, you'd find, I mean CV, curriculum vitae of different professionals, you'd find that a major portion or um, division or element of the CV is about their professional career development, education they've taken, and the courses they've done, and also their work experiences in a particular area. But then in some cases, most of these things they've stated in their CV is a clear representation of where they have been and where they are at. But interestingly, if you go further in the CV, you find a section in the CV they normally call hobbies and interests. And while the major part of the CV is something they don't really like very much, but they have to do it because it pays the bills. A portion of the CV, because hobbies and interests, in several cases, is something they always love, but they haven't spent time developing it. Neither have they taken time getting education to develop their capacity in it, or even volunteered in terms of carrying out projects or increasing the experiences in these things that they do love. So there's always that disconnect between what you do because you are getting paid and what you do because you love. And I think for me, it was a question of if there was an opportunity to develop what I do love while developing what I was studying just because it was available, why not? What it does is it opens you up to alternatives. There are many individuals who finish university in chemistry, but they've always loved fashion design and they knew they did since their first year in university, but they never spend time taking short courses, getting affiliations, associations with fashion design organizations throughout 4 years of university. Then they graduate. When they don't get a job in the chemistry with which they studied, what normally happens? They're kind of stuck. You see, but the point is, if they have developed their capacity and their portfolio in this other area, then it's much easier for them to kind of have an option to navigate, which is what forestalls or also what impacts or solidifies their career enhancement. So I guess that balance has to be created, and I think I was fortunate to discover it in the initial stages. But I think right now it's an important dimension for young people and professionals to ensure and make sure that they always have to find a way to create the balance between their passion and also profits. The average individual should find an opportunity to create a balance between what they do for a job or because of what they were trained in, but also what they are passionate about. Because whether you like it or not, at some point in your professional career, there will be a conflict between what you're doing for a job and what you do love. It's okay to begin a career with what you are doing just because you're paid, because it's the beginning of the career. But the chances are, if you don't love what you're doing as you progress, that conflict begins, and that's what for kind of develops frustration, confusion, and in several cases, a diminished productivity and efficiency or effectiveness, and even a distorted progression in your career growth. And so that balance has to be created. And so the more the individual is able to understand that there has to be a balance and a merging of what you train in and what you do love, then the earlier you discover that and begin to merge those, the better. Some people are not very fortunate, so they just got a course to study at university, but it's not what they love. But then it doesn't mean you can't spend some time and some resources, no matter how small, developing your experience, capacity, and your knowledge in the things you do love, because it's very, very simple and it's not rocket science. The more you do something you love, the better you get at it.
That's very amazing. Thank you very much for the answer. I think just to also put this more in context, many people talk about not enjoying the process of coding, writing codes, and because let's say tech is now the new oil, just because of the money that comes with it. So many people do it, and at the end of the day, it's not something they enjoy. And 5, 10 years, they don't really they, they get like frustrated and depressed and all of those things because it's not something that they should really enjoy doing. I don't want to say some people don't enjoy coding, but some people, myself inclusive, I not just want to code. But I think the part of also being self-aware and knowing, okay, what are the things that I enjoy doing, and also trying to build capacity in that area. And I think another beauty that comes with being in the tech space is being able to marry your interest with tech, which would mean you are able to use technology as an as a tool to enable what you love doing. Maybe for someone like me who likes to be in the communications and all of those things, I'm able to look for a part of the tech space that still allows me to do a lot of that. And at the end of the day, yes, I can still pay my bills and still do something that I love, and I can build on that over time. All right, thank you very much for that answer. I think next question would be, I think you already kind of answered that earlier about finding a balance between your interest and pursuing. Allow me to use pursuing the money bag, but when trying to pick what paths to follow. I think from engagement to people, there are three things that are usually the driving factor. So some of them say the money, some of them say passion, passion for that thing, even though it might not exactly be solving a problem. And some people are actually driven by a problem, like yourself. You mentioned you notice a gap, and sometimes it's married, sometimes it's together. But which of these do you think one should really follow? Yes, we've talked about um, maintaining a balance, but is it also possible to, get all of the three together? You're solving a problem, you are still doing something you're passionate about, and you are getting paid for it.
So in my program, I call that the tripartite synchrony. And what that means is basically is problems, profit, and passion. See, but the point is, in the world we live, if you focus on two without the other, you will still get to a point of a conflict. So you might be very passionate about something amazing, and but the point is, if you're passionate about something, ultimately the reason why there will be profit in the first place is because you're solving a problem, because all careers are fundamentally based on your capacity to solve a problem. So if you're passionate about something and there is no problem to solve, then it's just a hobby. There can be profit. The reason why you are getting paid for a passion you have is because you are given value, and the reason you are given value is because it's an exchange of your skills or capacity for a problem somebody wants. Why somebody's an accountant is because he's solving the problem of accountability. Why are you a teacher is because you're solving the problem of ignorance. So there's always going to be a problem for passion to become profit. That's non-negotiable. Or else it's just a hobby, what you do to relax. Are you following me? So my point is, if you look at it critically, you actually cannot separate the three of them in context. Somebody might say, I'm passionate about it. That's fine, but you can do it as a passion. If there's no profit and you're not solving a problem, it's just a hobby. Then if it's a hobby, then it's not a career. If you flip it over and you say, well, I'm focused on just the profit, the only reason why it's a profit is because you're getting paid for it. That means there's a problem you are solving. Now,
So,
chances are you might be doing something, which is where the underlying leverage is. You might be doing something that you're solving a problem in through profit, and ultimately but you don't have a passion for it, then it will also stall because you might be solving the problem and getting money and profits. If there's no passion for it, it comes to the point in your career where there's going to be obviously a conflict. So the only way I can explain it is, except you're lying to yourself, the three have to work together. That's why I call it a tripartite synchrony for career enhancement and sustainability.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone explain it this way, and just make three and show how if you want to really go far, you have to have the three of them in the bag. Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Sha, for that answer. And I think and the next question why I'm asking this is because the tech space is very fluid. You have technologies coming up every day, and there's just this if you decide to just stick to one today, let me use this for instance. There's this program we had, programming language we were taught in school, COBOL, Fortran, and all of those things. Nobody uses that right now because we have new ones. coming up and people learning these things, and again we have new ones coming up, and we have people transitioning. So you see a software engineer who becomes a product manager tomorrow, you see someone who codes, who goes into cyber security and all of these things, just to stay relevant. But you could do all of that and don't gain mastery in a particular area, and you want to have mastery because that's what really puts you ahead of others. So at what point do you know, okay, I think I've learned this, it's time to transition?
It's almost like you're asking the previous question in a different way. It's the same thing applies.
Okay,
Because ultimately, if
okay.
you think about it critically, if you began with a particular programming language, okay, and I think in some sense, if as you progress in the programming language, you get to the point where you're very good at it, obviously the reason for that kind of capacity is because you are solving some, if you like, digital problems. Somebody comes, I want to do this. You code, you write a series of code to solve the problem. That's the basis. Except you're just writing programming language just for the fun of it, in which case it doesn't make any sense. It's just a nice hobby to have. You just like programming. But if you're programming
Mm,
within a career context, you're programming to solve a problem. Am I making sense? Now, a
yeah.
point comes where, I don't know, for example, the current problems that exist, that programming language can no longer solve the problems because the world has advanced, society has moved on. There is now maybe a different leverage of a programming language, or maybe a different programming language or an advanced version to solve problems faster. And people don't want to go to come to you anymore to to write your old programming language because there are faster versions of doing it. What has happened? You no longer have a problem to solve. So what do? You move on to another programming language that can help you solve the new societal problems. So my point is, what your question is like a simple, it's like a you're being specific, but in context, it still falls into the same thing. Ultimately, there has to be societal problems for you to resolve. So I'll give an example. The World Economic Forum, in the 2022 skills outlook, made it very clear that some passions, some skills are in decline. Skills like manual dexterity, skills like memory. Why do you need the skills of memory in this new era? Because you having memory is not vital to solving a problem. When you have data banks, which you actually store data in that sense. Skills like reading, writing, math, and active listening. All those are quite nice, but actually they're not very vital to today's problems. Instead, the World Economic Forum postulates that the kinds of skills you require now are analytical thinking. Can you believe leadership and social influence? Who would think social influence should be a skill even for a technology person? Why not? Because we live in a virtual space. So my point is, there has to be an increased enhancement or progression in your knowledge and skills in response to problems. And if you are fortunate and blessed to have a passion in what you are doing, then you are a complete career professional. That's the way I say it.
Because the passion you have for the problem is what's going to spur you to keep learning and just, okay,
To
I have to
solve
solve
the
this
problem.
problem.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
especially
Wow.
if you are solving the problems and there is remuneration attached to it,
Coming with it.
then it makes
You're
it better. So in which
motivated.
case you have, that's why I was talking about the tripartite synchrony, where profit, problems, and your passion meet at the.
As long as the problem is still there, you keep equipping yourself to solve that
So
particular
if
problem.
you're passionate
Um,
about something and you're focused on money, that's fine. You will make the money as long as it's a particular problem. If you're not focused on increasing your problem portfolio, the money will stop and the passion becomes a hobby, in which case it's just to relax. That's not a basis for career progression. If you're focused on just profits, are you following me? That's absolutely fantastic. But if you're not passionate about it, you can make all the money. And there are many people who do that. At some point in your career, you're going to be frustrated and you're going to have a conflict because you're not passionate about the problems you are trying to solve. So that's why everything has to work together.
so in part of equipping yourself, I know that coming from a background in sciences down to business to education, there are certain skills you build over time that you still apply across all these spheres you've gone into. So I would like to ask, what are the transferable skills you've built over time that has helped you, um yes, in these different spheres?
So, according to the Institute for the Future of Work, there are about 10 key transferable skills within the consideration for recruitment of new employees, especially in the Industrial Revolution 4.0 era that we now dwell in. I mean, there are many other skills, but in a nutshell, a few skills include the idea of sense making, just making sense. Because it doesn't matter which what your sector or field is, the idea of making sense within a particular sector area is an incredible transferable skill. Social intelligence, novel and adaptive thinking, computational thinking, thinking in computing, cross-cultural competency because we live in a virtual and globalized world, new media literacy. So if you don't understand the use of Twitter, Instagram, Facebook as a skill set, doesn't matter your area of specialty, these are vital transferable skills across board. Transdisciplinarity, you can't just say, well, I'm a chemist, I'm an engineer. An engineer who can write a business plan, you're in trouble. I can't say, well, I'm in business. A business scientist who doesn't understand sustainability, you're also in trouble because we live in a sustainability era. Transdisciplinarity is absolutely crucial. Designs mindset. So you think about a problem from a design perspective. So what do you mean? Because that guarantees sustainability and effectiveness. Okay. Cognitive load management. There are things happening all around you. How is the average individual able to manage five, six things at the same time? Some people call it time management. In context, it's actually cognitive load management. How do you manage your capacity for advanced learning? Are you following me? Independent learning, virtual collaboration. I can go on and on. These are specific transferable skills that cuts across board.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that answer. I think it's very important, especially now that with in the tech space, like there's easy entry. You want to go into this tomorrow, you can enter. You don't need to have a degree or something, but there are basic things that you need to know. It goes beyond having the technical skills, knowing how to code and all of those things. If you want to really have a smooth transition, you should have most of the skills that he has mentioned. And now I think this is going to be the final question and also cuts across board. I want to start a career now in tech. What are like the factors I should consider? Maybe I have okay, I've discovered the problem, and I'm not exactly sure where I can fit in. I just want to pick, because you could solve a problem from different angles. Where can I go into? What are the factors that I should consider that could give me direction and clarity? Okay, I could go into this part. Okay, I could write code, or I could go into marketing, or I could go into what factors should I look at before choosing a path to follow?
So a key factor is resources. How much do you have? To go do a master's program in programming is more expensive than doing a short course in programming. So first and foremost, consider your resources, because obviously if you don't already have that skill or that knowledge, you have to learn it. And to learn it, you need to go for training. To go for training require money. Are you following me? In some cases, experiences. So that means that's a determining factor, because then that puts you in a level where you can say, okay, well, maybe I learn how to write or how to do Microsoft PowerPoint first, or to understand Microsoft tools first, because that's easy and quicker. Then once I've done that, I'm able to solve this particular problem, because guess what? Across board, there are problems always to be solved. I've been developing an international program, an online program, where some parts of my courses require Microsoft PowerPoint. You will be amazed that many people use Microsoft PowerPoint, but they have no clue about some intricacies within the software Microsoft PowerPoint. If a Microsoft PowerPoint expert shows you the things that are available in that software, you will be in shock at what it can do. People don't even use up to 5% of that particular software. So it might be as simple as focusing on a specific area and developing an expertise in it, and then graduating. Maybe people think about the tech space. Their mind goes to coding. No. Coding is a simple, small element within a tech space. So understand what is your current resources and what do you want to achieve. Phase your growth. Take it one step at a time. Finish this, you know it. You are answering this problem. You're making some money. Graduate to this other this particular level. Learn some more. Do some work. And then think about volunteering. Many people just think about tech space and all they see is money, money, money. you don't understand the power of volunteering as a young professional, you're in trouble. Because how would you show value to somebody when you haven't even shown value in the past? How will I know you are good at something? If you say, well, sir, I've just finished developing the programming, maybe taking a course in programming. Will it be okay if I maybe did some work for you for just 1 week or 1 month, and it's okay not to pay me so I can show you my value? You're more likely to get signed on than somebody who just goes, I've finished learning what do you call it, Java. Okay, please give me money. This is my fee. What have you done? So you have to kind of be systematic and careful how you progress it. Think about partnerships. You live in an era that's very connected, so you can't always operate in isolation. So remain and keep yourself intentionally within the spaces where other programmers, other tech specialists are. Join associations, join professional bodies, follow a tech expert on Twitter or LinkedIn. Be very intentional in what you do. Learn, go online, Google short free courses in tech spaces. There are many of them available, and grow your capacity. And as you progress, things becomes easier.
That's really amazing. I mean, like, you just simplified what takes some people 2 years to figure out. And as much as we have the internet to help with supply of information, something that many people still suffer from is information overload. And I think the part of, joining communities, having someone that you follow, you're able to like stick to a path. And also, where you mentioned volunteering, you're able to even test it. For instance, I learned Java and now I'm working, maybe I'm volunteering with someone, and I see that, oh, this is actually really cool. It's something I could do for a long time. Or I see that, oh, okay, I don't think this is something I want to be doing for a long time. You're able to explore things for a little bit at little or no cost. And it's very important because where you start from where you are with what you have. Because many excuses that people give, I don't have access to gadgets, which is most times is true. But even with phones, you can take short courses, like you mentioned. You're just feeding your brain with, okay, what are the things that I can do and learn with my phone and just get started. Thank you so much, sir, for the very insightful session. I hope whoever is listening has gotten clarity on, how to choose what part in the tech space to go into. And if you have any questions, I'm sure that Dr. Akanimo can would love to answer your questions. You can follow him on LinkedIn, on Instagram. I don't know, on Twitter. If they can also reach out message and follow you on Twitter. All right. And yes, thank you so much. Thank you very much.